Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today is a very special episode where we have Arnold Volker on the line. For those of you that maybe caught our last episode with each other, we announced that Arnold would be an author in one of our upcoming books, and I am proud to announce, book is live. It's out there. We'll be talking in depth with Arnold about his writing and also his contribution, and of course, getting into Inventor U. Again, for those that are not familiar with Arnold's work, he's an inventor, activator, and founder over at Inventor U. So first off, Arnold, just want to say congrats. Book is out. How do you feel?
Yeah, thank you. I've gotten a lot of compliments. Just very proud just to see some things, that I wrote in paper, and a little bit of it it's about my son, and his involvement in my company, and so just watching his pride and reading, about his story is kind of written in a book is kind of double cool.
Yeah, I like that, and I'm in. It is double cool, and I'm a big fan of the Inventor U platform, and I know that you're also working now. I feel like this is breaking news because I don't think we talked about this the last time. I know you and I have spoken offline, but you're working on a scorecard, so we'll get into that as well.
Yep.
But just to get this episode started, we'll start this one the way that we start them all with our Mission Matters Minute. So Arnold, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. Arnold, what mission matters to you?
The mission that's very important to me is just inspiring people to invent and create, and about this book, also tying together is more about youth. So I have a good story to share about my son and how he did a lot to help save our company, but just inspiring others to create. And I believe everybody's an inventor. So if you think about what an inventor is, they're tireless and driven, and it kind of inspires us to create and bring more of those traits out of ourselves.
Fantastic. Love bringing mission-based individuals on the line to share why they do what they do and how they're doing it, and really adding value to the marketplace. So great to have you back on. For some of the listeners that didn't catch that first episode, and by the way, for our listeners, we'll put a link to that in the show notes so you can catch the in-depth deep dive we did on Arnold's background and some of his work and how he got started. But maybe just a brief overview, Arnold, and how you got on this path to Inventor U.
Yeah, I own a manufacturing company in Minnesota, and I love the creative side. And we always have entrepreneurs and people coming in that want us to help them, manufacture their widget. And and I've done a lot of business brokerage and things like that. I had a business broker license and things. And so I enjoy that side of it. And, how do you create more of what you enjoy? You just get more involved into the things that you enjoy. So I enjoy helping others. And, I'd heard about this book, so that kind of leads all together of just trying to help others. I think we all have a creative side. We've all had ideas and can relate to, boy, I thought of that, but I never did it,
Yeah.
Whether it's the umbrella in your drink or, somebody thought of all these goofy things.
I love it. As we've grown to know each other more and more, I'm always thinking about like how these inventions work. I'm always thinking of new ideas. I'm like, before my time's done on this earth, Arnold, like, mark my words, I will invent or make something.
Yeah.
I'm in. I love it. I love the concept. I grew up in a shop. My dad growing up was a business owner, auto body shop. So I grew up in a shop watching him make things, and I always wanted to tinker and figure things out myself as well. So I thought, from the standpoint of reading your writing, it kind of took me back to my youth and thinking about making things.
Yeah.
So your specific title was Young Inventors Change the World Every Day. Why it's important to raise your children with an entrepreneurial spirit. Like, what was the inspiration for this?
Well, quick story. When my son was 12, he wanted a go-kart, And I said, if you want a go-kart, you better figure out how to pay for it. And I brought home a piece of scrap metal, and he literally came up with a shooting target, and he's 12. And so shooting with a BB gun, airsoft. And that literally led to him being on the front page of the local paper, which is picked up by the national paper. And so at 13, he spoke at a national conference and ended up signing a 10-year manufacturing agreement with a large shooting target company. And it led to, a 10-year manufacturing agreement and shipping like a semi-load of targets every couple of weeks. So, so it kind of became this little thing that, really helped our manufacturing company survive. And now he's 21 and still very, I think, inquisitive. As kids, I think that's what's exciting about kids is, they're not intimidated of just brainstorming and they're not held back by all these different things that we have, and even, little things, just like I have a mug, that it's got on there, Frank Epperson, invented the popsicle at age 11. Chester Greenwood invented the earmuffs at 15. Louis Greenwood, the braille at 15, the trampoline, which I think I talk about in that chapter, was 16. So, I mean, it's just a simple inspiration of, kids come up with great ideas and, why can't we do that too? We all need to unveil that kid in us more.
Yeah. What do you think it looks like to create the environment of not, and I don't want to say killing or stifling, like, I don't know what the word is, but I feel like when we growing up as kids and, adults maybe start, obviously responsible for us, want to make sure we're safe, want to make sure we're okay. But little by little, some of that like inquisitiveness, to use your word, is sometimes chipped away. And it sometimes kind of leaves us like little by little. We may not even notice it, like that curiosity. What do you think are some of the things that help keep that in place?
I forget the statistic, but by the time a kid is 2 or 4 or something, they've been told no so many times, and some kids are more resilient than others. And I think as a parent, being supportive and, I remember my son coming home and I said, well, let's try to make a perpetual motion machine. And I bought the biggest magnets possible that we could buy off the internet. And the first thing he did was try to put them together, caught his brand new shirt, ripped his shirt right in half. And it's like, oh, we're not telling mom. So I think just having that curiousness and willing to try things, it's just very contagious. Whether you're with a bunch of your friends and you start brainstorming something, just once you start getting to that brainstorming piece, it gets the ball rolling.
So maybe speak to the parents out there for a moment or two. Like if they notice that their children, because I mean you're helping, and we'll switch over to talk about the adults as well through Inventor U and how you're helping them bring their ideas to life. But for the parents out there that are listening, going a little bit further into your chapter, like what kind of things would you tell them if they notice like their children have some of that entrepreneurial or even inventor spirit in them? Like how do you advise that they maybe help cultivate that?
It's I think a lot of times it's natural for parents to go into sports and things like that, but and those are all good things. But just spending time with your kids, you naturally will see things that they're more interested in. When my daughter was younger, she was really into making jewelry. So pretty soon we're out shooting porcupines and making porcupine jewelry. And she was selling it at the local antique mall or where they take things on consignment. So, I mean, I think every kid loves crafts and things. So it's trying to figure out what that unique thing is. And to me, there's nothing better than being a parent. So how do you try to find that bond, and sometimes it's, the old saying, find a need, fill a need. So it could be something that you're doing. Like we used to shoot a lot of archery and it's like, boy, wouldn't that be cool if we had such and such target, and so we'd mess around making something or, so I think it's paying attention and, to me is, I work a lot. So it's like, if you really appreciate it, it's really a nice release.
Yeah. You have this concept that you talk about, not only in the book and obviously talking about young inventors, but also with adults and every no matter of age. And that's that concept of everyone is an inventor. I still find that like really interesting. It's one of the things that I ask myself is like, how am I an inventor? Like, what can I do? Like, can you
Yeah.
just tell us a little bit more about what that concept means to you?
Well, the concept is, in a sense, we all need motivation. And
Mhm.
so, like I said earlier, if you think of an inventor, what's the first things that come to mind? I
Yeah.
mean, they're tireless. They keep trying. How many ways to fail at a sticky note, or 3M, it was a failure, but it turned out to be the sticky note, or
Yeah.
Edison with the light bulb. It's like,
Yeah.
so there's some famous quotes around that. It's like he figured out how many ways to not make it before he finally made it.
Yeah.
So I think just the resilience, and that's the cool part of it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the idea that we don't, there's going to be people that will pursue that type of life full time, but then there's also, the business owners like yourself, myself, that maybe have ideas and they want to make them into a reality. It might not be their full time job or their
Yeah,
life's mission, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't pursue that idea and that there's not an actual way to get it done. So.
yeah.
And in speaking on that, maybe let's just kind of set the stage for that part of the conversation by just telling us a little bit more about Inventor U.
Yeah, and I think the way it came about, and just maybe back up to a little bit on that last
Yeah.
question. A lot of times, we all get down. I mean, the last couple of years has been extremely hard. Since 2008, as a manufacturing company, it's been extremely challenging. And we all have mentors in our life. Well, some of the mentors that I've had in mind, it's almost like I'd call it the puppy behavior. I mean, you figure out how to go chase something, and while you're chasing that, you're only thinking about what you're chasing. You're not thinking of all the things in life that are stressful, and so the last, especially the last couple, but for me personally, the last 10, 12 have been very hard, and so that's led to trying to focus on the things that I enjoy, and that's the creative side. So how do I help people, and how do I put a framework around it? And so then things start to develop, and I have helped people buy and sell lots of businesses. So how do I encourage people to be more entrepreneurial? To me, the economy is based on optimism. So there's no more time than ever to try to help people start a small business or be optimistic. Never once in my business did I think I'm not going to make it.
Mhm.
But if you look out one of my windows, I have a gravel pit started, and you look out the other window, we're starting a multi-million-dollar storage business. Did I think I was going to be in that 10 years ago? No. It's so it's kind of that puppy thinking of chasing something, and that's what I really was honored when you guys asked me to participate in this. It's like, there's just not enough positive stories and things out there, and the best way to kind of get out of your funk is to be that puppy and chase something.
Oh man, I'm in. Is that a child's book already or something? Puppy behavior? I feel like that's a classic. That might be your next book, Arnold.
Yeah. But it makes it more fun, and
Yeah.
people can I think visualize, but
Mhm.
none of us, even as kids, the best thing you can have is a parent that's supportive, and so just supporting each other. And we do that here on the manufacturing side, but the whole phrase of, I believe everybody's an inventor. It
Mhm.
kind of tries to lead that it's not just about
Yeah.
making a hard good, but it's about, how do we improve our life, or kind of,
Mhm.
feel more optimistic about the things around us.
Yeah, I think it's awesome, and we and you kind of always when we have these conversations remind me of my childhood, and I'm thinking about like all the businesses and all the little the ideas that I had and like the learning lessons that led up to today being a business owner, and then I think about some of my friends and their kids, whether it's bubblegum machine business, or, all these different, things that kids do. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to see them grow, and also to understand that, not saying, again, agreeing with you, nothing wrong with sports, but if your child shows an interest or a bent, maybe in some things other than sports as well, like cultivating that side of the conversation.
Yeah.
Too, and noticing it, right? And noticing it, and not just putting them on the same track of whatever sport the rest of the community's playing.
Well, and with Etsy and all these simple ways, come up with things, or you can sell them online a lot easier. Another quick story: the way this started with my son, I think maybe it was 6 or 7 that the school that he was in went to 4 days a week. And I was just petrified. It's like, boy, what is this kid going to be doing? So I said, I'll pay you a penny. He loved make origami paper things.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll pay you a penny a click. And then I started thinking about that. And it's like, no, I'm going to cap it at $100. Well, his YouTube channel is still out there, and I think he's been hit by every country, and the average demographic age is like 47, folding these origami things that he did when he was 6. So,
oh man,
how do you inspire your kids? There he was just, I don't know why he was into that, but then he got into making videos, and so one thing quickly leads to another. So
it's great. It's a great story.
Yeah.
So I want to get further into this, and not to put you on the spot, but I do have to hear about this entrepreneur scorecard that you're creating. I understand it's still in development, but tell us a little bit more about your vision for this, because I'm excited. Once you start tinkering and wrapping your head around something, like the first thing I think is, oh yeah, Arnold is working on another project. I can't wait to hear about this. He doesn't have enough on his plate already. He's got to do more. Tell us more about this scorecard, Arnold.
Well, I think a lot of people just don't think of themselves as entrepreneurs, and how do I encourage, people? And so I've done some classes and things on how to buy a business, and so how to kind of value a business. So kind of the scorecard thing started with that, and done a few different Zoom classes around it. And that was off the chart. People just liked it because it kind of removes emotion. A lot of times, things get emotional. You decide to get into something because of X or Y. And to me, I always say you don't make a good decision from a position of weakness or emotion. So scorecards, that's kind of how they come about. We've looked at buying many different businesses and things. And so I kind of hold myself to this, if it doesn't score this much, I don't pursue it. So I started thinking about, how do I inspire entrepreneurs? And so I came up with kind of 25 different categories about creativity, resilience. And so you kind of go through this self-assessment, and it kind of helps maybe all of us kind of see where we're strong and where we're weak. And on the flip side, I think we all should have those group of mentors or peers around us, to help encourage and support. And but a lot of times when you think of entrepreneurs, you might get intimidated by it. So the goal of this is to kind of break it down a little bit, and it'll be fun to, there's some great self-assessments, things out there with, I'm drawing a blank now, and there's some I've had the kids take when they were young, like personality type traits. And so it's in a sense to try to encourage people and kind of makes the conversation piece, because you don't really think about, you hear about businesses when they either make it through a struggle, but how did they make it through the struggle? What was that perseverance or drive or faith or kind of ingredient?
Great. Yeah. I'm a fan of, once I heard you were developing this, I'm a fan. I've taken every Myers-Briggs or ENTJ, everything I love it. I feel like every time you go through a scorecard or some type of self-assessment type tool, whether you're doing it by yourself or with a team, like there's always some type of self-learning, self-reflection. It's even just that pause, in our life, to kind of be able to have that space to say, like, who am I? Which we don't do very often.
No, and I think it's Whether it's younger kids, or adults, I think we all like making extra money, and so
Yeah.
what is that way to make extra money, or as a business leader, today you can tell I'm working. I got a shirt on that says Cottage Blanks. Well, we created another brand, and so it's just fun to create, and that
Mhm.
keeps you out of I don't know, just getting down, and it keeps the doors open.
Yeah.
It's like anything. If you can inspire yourself and your team around you, you're going to keep going. So
Yeah. So, speaking of inspiring and supporting, tell me about these inventor activation sessions that you're doing over at Inventor You. Like, what does that look like? And tell us a little bit more about the process.
yeah, so you can go to my website. You can book a 30-minute consultation, and it's
Mhm.
kind of meant to just understand what your goals are, and how I can help. I have a fair amount of experience, anything from packaging to marketing, and sometimes it's I'm a firm believer in coaching, whether you're in sports or just a business coach. So in a sense, I'm like a business coach to try to help you get out of the weeds and kind of get this thing going. So I've had some great people sign up, and it's fun how much you learn just even helping. But my goal is to help others, but I always get something out of it, so it's inspiring.
Yeah, it's great. I think it's a big win, and to have some, and the fact that you're hopping on the call. I think one of the interesting things about just your vantage point is because you've talked to so many people about their ideas. You have obviously you're as a business owner yourself. You've obviously grown a business. You have multiple businesses. You've also worked through multiple inventions yourself. And geez, I don't even want to know how many people you've talked to about their inventions and their ideas. I feel like you're just in a very unique spot to be kind of at that focal point of people bringing you different ideas and figuring out, if it makes sense, and if they should take their product or their idea to the next step, or even if they're not fully committed to doing that, like if they wanted to, like what would that look like? What's the
Right.
process of really going from idea and to make something a reality? I feel like that's one of those things that, as you use the word coach or business coach or things like that, like when you think about that, it's short. It can shorten the time. It can shorten
Yeah.
the time, the learning curve. It can shorten the learning curve to how long it takes for you to get started, to how long it takes you to get to launch, and everything in between.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great service. So after let's just say, after the call, so after that initial activation session, if somebody wants to continue to work with you, like what does that type of relationship or typically look like? Like is coaching, like give us a little bit more of a flavor for like what's next after that.
Like a business coach type setting. So, you and I would identify maybe some goals for the next call.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's simple things like people maybe think they have a really cool name, but they haven't went and looked at the patent and trademark office to
Yeah.
even search and see if that's available, or because it's funny how many roadblocks you can come
Mhm.
into. Just boy, I didn't think of that. And so it's around specifically. Sometimes it's software, sometimes it's ideas, sometimes it's actual products. So I think just identifying some scope of have you marketed it yet? Have you made a prototype? Um, some people are way further along.
Mhm.
Some people, that was never my goal of getting into this, but sometimes people say, well, can you market it, or can you, they just want a royalty. And so, I have another little form to fill out, and it's kind of helps assess, where you're at with your
Mhm.
particular process. But goal setting and trying to be a supportive person.
What do you think? And I know there's no one size fits all to this, but what do you think are some of the top things that hold people back from pursuing their inventions? Like what normally holds people back?
I think fear of failure.
Mm.
They don't think it's just not them. I'm not an inventor. I mean, so they kind of have these beliefs, the limiting beliefs around themselves. I know for me personally, how I got into this is I was doing business brokerage, and the founder of this company where I'm at now said, Arnold, you're way more entrepreneurial than you give yourself credit. And I never thought of it that way. And my career and everything took a right turn. And that's why I think it's important to try to support people. And sometimes you don't see your own traits, and you think, boy, I can't get financing, or there's all these limiting beliefs, so how do I help people remove some of those things and just help them get started?
Yeah, it's great. Well, I know you got a lot on your plate. I mean, so so happy and excited to bring this to my readers. Your newly published book. We'll put the notes in the link to the book in the show notes, so people can just click on it and head right on over and pick up a copy, because I know I want them to get your full writing, of course. That being said, a lot on your plate. What's next? I mean, what's going on next for Arnold?
I think just helping, like my son, he's right here. So we just, he's working on a new project. It's fun just to be involved in that side of it. We have products that we've made 60,000 units of, and we're still trying to improve either the process so it's a lifelong thing of trying to look for ways to improve, products, and that applies even to us as individuals. Every day is a learning experience.
It's awesome. Well, if somebody wants to connect and learn more about Inventor U and connect with you and your brands, I mean, what's the best way for people to do that?
You can go to Facebook, or social media. If you can type in my name, just Arnold Volker, it'll pull up. Otherwise, go to our website, inventor-u.com, and just request kind of that free half-hour inventor activization. It'd be just to have a fun conversation. And if there's any way I can help, I'd love to.
It's perfect. And we'll put all that information for everybody listening. We'll put all that information in the show notes, so you can just click on the link and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters or engaging with our platform, we're all about bringing on mission-based entrepreneurs just like Arnold, to inspire us, to motivate us, and to really let us know how they're doing what they're doing, so we can all learn as well. If that's the type of content that's interesting to you or sounds exciting or engaging, I mean, we welcome you. Hit that subscribe button, because we have many more mission-based individuals coming up on the line, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And Arnold, again, so excited to have published your work and to be getting the word out there about it. And then also to have you back on the show, of course. Always a pleasure working with you. Thanks again for coming back on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm really grateful for being in this, and glad that I was able to do that. So I appreciate it. Thanks for all your support.